Hi, let me share with you a real life problem that we face, something that you don't see in your literature, your books, and research papers. So, right now I have to work in a dark room because I work with some sensitive fluorophore which gets photo bleached in presence of light, and the light system of this room is not working. So I have to wait till the engineer, uh, the the electrician person come here and switch off the light, because somehow I cannot switch it off. It's a central facility. uh, Having said that, so this is the real life problem that we face. We have to wait for light to get off in order to start our experiment, and then we do the experiment. And if it gets successful, which has a very low chance to get converted into some fancy research graphs that you see, and then again it has a very low probability that the research will be translated into your textbook or into medicine or something. So working, doing research is something like you are on the edge of a needle, and where you have, probability to be there successfully is very less. Still we enjoy because there is a probability, and we follow the probability. Probability never lies. Since I talked about needle, let me, till the electrician come here and switch off the light. I just thought to talk to you about what I am going to do here right now. So this is a microinjection setup from Up and Off. Up and Off is a uh, big company who sells all these fancy instruments. So and it's the best version of micro injection facility, and people use it to manipulate things inside the cell for gene editing. Let's say you want to get a mutant mice, or with a gene of your interest. Either you want to delete some gene, or either you want to introduce some gene and you want to make a live mice. So you generally take oocytes, you put your gene of interest, generally you inject your gene of interest through this system, and then you put the oocytes back into mother mice. And then, if your experiment is successful, then you'll get a baby mice baby who will have gene of your interest. And you of course have to do the sequencing by cutting their tail, and you have to sequence the mice that whether your gene of interest has been incorporated into their genome or not. But I use it for a different purpose. I use it for protein manipulation. uh, I don't know, should I call it manipulation or not. I just want to understand thermodynamics of protein inside the cell, and I use it for this purpose. I'll not talk about my experiments throughout, because some of my friends complain that you should make these video very general, so that kids at your home understand what I do. So yes, the thing is, let me introduce the instrument. So of course, if you want to manipulate cells, if you want to do some you want to play with cells, then of course you need a microscope. So this thing is microscope from Olympus, and microscope is nothing but it has a combination of some lenses, and lens magnifies things. And second things, it has certain system to resolve things better. It has their own source of light, because in order to see other things like through eyes, you have external source of light like sun, like this tube light. So, and using these lights you can really get the image on your retina. But in order to see cells, you cannot rely on these room light. That's why you need a separate source of light. So there is a source of light here. So I can just if you can see, when it is closed there is no light. When I open this diaphragm, you see there is a light. You can't see because I have to put something here. Now you see, no light, and light. So this is the source of light. This source of light comes here, it falls on your cells. So I have cells here. So in this dish, this is the dish, and cells are adhered on the bottom of it. Okay, these are again the same HeLa cell. I discussed about it in a detail. So, and I want to manipulate these cells. So first, in order to manipulate cells, manipulate means not brain manipulation, but changing their things according to my interest. So what I do is I put the cells out here, and then there is a source of light. The source of light comes, there is an objective, there are different objectives of different magnification. So let's say 4x, 10x, 20x, 40x, these 4 kind of objectives are here. So x generally basically defines the magnification. More x means more magnification. And then the light comes here, and so you can see the image of your cells through the eyepiece. So this is the eyepiece, or on the computer screen. Okay, so last time I could not show you the image of these HeLa cells because of my busy schedule, which is not really busy because I have time of the whole world. So right now I can see the image through my eyes using 4x objective, and same image is shown here. Perhaps you are not able to see it because it is shown by it is now 4x objective. So what I'll do, I'll change the objective, and as we gradually go towards higher magnification, you will see that your image of cells will be enlarged on this screen. Okay, so changing objective does not enlarge your cells, it essentially enlarges the image of your cells. Okay, so let me go to the 10x. So I'm going to the 10x. Can you see something? You see this black thing? Do you think it's cell? No, it's not cell. It's something I marked so that I want to manipulate these cells around this circle. This is a small point on this thing, and that small point by a marker is enlarged, which is filling the whole screen. So that is the aspect ratio you can compare to. But yeah, definitely I can change the position of focal position. What do we call it? The area of visibility, like the area where I'm focusing, I'm looking at. So if I change it here, can you see the cells? So these are the cells by 10x essentially. So this is the size of cells. You see small dots by 10x objective. Let me enlarge it by 20x. So I have a setup, I'll show you in a minute, that there is a screen where I can just, if I touch 20x, it will be changed into 20x, nothing to be worried about. Now can you see these bigger cells? When I say bigger, so these are the cells from Henrietta Lacks. Please remember, whenever I do experiment, I acknowledge her, although she doesn't care. Okay, so let me go to the 40x because even 20x was not very good. And now, when I am at 40x, then, okay. So can you see the cells? You must be seeing cells, elongated cells on my screen. I am changing positions, so that somehow I get good cells to show you, So there are bad cells as well. Okay, so I think this should be good enough, but I think because of some issues you still not be able to see it. Okay, sometimes you see, right? Let me focus. Right, can you see this? Yes, so these are the cells. So there are different cells adhered on the surface. Okay, so let me just focus it again. Now you can see it better. So this focus. So these are different cells on my screen, and the same cells can be seen through my eyepiece as well. But Okay, so this is how we see the cells using microscope. Simply you have an objective. Objective is collection of lenses, and if there are many convex lens, then the object from where light comes, it will make an image. And you know, if your object is between focus and center of curvature, then the image that an convex lens form is enlarged image. And I don't know whether it is virtual or not. Probably it's virtual. That's why we can see it on a screen. You remember 10th book where we say that image made by convex lens is virtual and it can be seen on a screen. I'm not sure though, but I think this is what they meant at that time. And I was thinking, it's on a screen really? What do you really mean by screen? Is it a cinema, a theatric screen or what? So, but this is what it means. And when I say objective, so there are different objectives. If you focus here, when I go change the objective, so I'll show you in a minute that how do I change the objective. It's just regulated by same as your smartphone. Okay, no difference. Of course, there are different smartphones. This is microscopic instrument functioning with the same, Alan Turing mechanism. I'll talk about Alan Turing some days. I'm his big fan. Okay, so you focus here. Okay, when I'll change, it will change, right? Did you see? Okay, I want you to focus it here. Okay, now I'm changing it again. You see, so this is how you can change the objective. So right now I went back to the 4x again, and now you must not be seeing cells. Okay, so this is the this is my point that I put on the cover slip. This where cells are, just to locate my cells that I want to manipulate. Now manipulation is such a negative term, but yeah, still if you are playing with something, you are changing something, that essentially calls manipulation. Okay, so this is how you change the objective. An objective is a set of collection of convex lenses, and if you have more convex lens in an objective, that will magnify your image more. And resolution depends on other various things that I will talk about when I'll someday talk about microscope. Today I want to talk about the microinjection. And why do I want to talk about it? The reason is very simple, that there is a light in my room and I have nothing to do it here. So I have to wait, and it's better to communicate with interested people. See, light is gone. Now I am happy because I can do my experiments. But I'll finish the video so that, you should not feel offended. Thank you. He has switched off all the light. No issue. So you see, now you must be seeing this light here changing very nicely. Okay, but okay, so this is the microscope which is used to magnify your cells. Now you want to inject something, let's say DNA in your cells. How would you do that? So in order to do that, first of all, to inject, you need to have something, we call it injection. We call it capillary or microcapillary. So I'll show you how does it look like. So this is the capillary, okay, and it's packed in a, we buy it, is costly, like it one capillary costs around 1,000. I don't know whether it is costly for middle class people like me or for everybody, but it's costly. So the thing is, one needle is there, and what you do, first of all, you have to just take things. So there is a cover, so that the capillary is very small. You remember that you have to inject your solution of DNA or protein or RNA, whatever you want, or CRISPR, anything, inside the cell, right? And cells, if you here I'm talking about cells of Henrietta Lacks, and since cells of Henrietta Lacks is around 20 micrometer in length and 20 micrometer in some 10-15 micrometer in width. These are elongated cells, and the thickness is around I would say 5 to 10 micrometer. And if you're injecting something in 5 to 10 micrometer, you need to have and volume is essentially 2 to 3 picoliter. So if you are injecting something, some solution in femtoliter volume, so you have, so essentially when you inject DNA in these cells, you are injecting some femtoliter solution in a cell, and volume of cell is 2 to 3 picoliter. And so if you get your calculation right, then the length and width is around 10, 15, 20 micrometer, which gives you a volume of 2 to 3 picoliter. And height of these cells are 5 to 10 micrometer. So if you want to introduce in that, you need a very thin capillary, and the point of capillary should be less than 1 micrometer for effective introduction of things inside the cell. Because let's say that if your cells, the area of cells is around let's say 200 micrometer square, and you are injecting with a thing that has 50 micrometer square, then you are destroying the cells. You don't want to destroy the cells. What do you want? That you want to inject things, and to inject you need something of very small size. And here yeah, so just a second. Okay. Yeah, so this thing is, there is a capillary, that needle is inside this thing, and you have to remove it very carefully because that needle is very small. I'll show you. So you just have to rotate it in a anti-clockwise or clockwise, whatever you are comfortable with manner, and you have to. So now you see, if you can see at all, that there is a capillary, and end of this capillary is perhaps not visible by your open eye. You cannot, even I cannot see the end of capillary, because end of capillary has a radius of 0.5 micrometer, diameter of 1 micrometer, and you of course cannot see things in micrometer. Your eyes are not that sensitive that it can resolve things in micrometer. It has some resolution limit. But we have microscope to compensate for our eyes. We can use the microscope to inject this solution inside the cell. Okay, so this is the capillary, and the next thing is to fill your solution of interest in this capillary. So what you will do, I'll get the solution and I will fill into that. Okay, so I will be filling some 5 microliter solution in that capillary, and this instrument is called pipette. So pipette is used to take out some volume of your solution. Okay, so I can set the volume here. If it is 5 microliter, then I will be able to pick 5 microliter solution to this capillary through this pipette. Okay, so I have taken what do we call it, something, pipette tip. So this is a long pointed end pipette tip. You must be seeing the end is very high. I'll tell you why. And I will take some solution into it. So I will go deeper, and slowly I am filling the solution. You have to see very carefully that whether solution is coming in or not, because sometimes end of this long end pipette tip is blocked, and then you keep on thinking that what is happening and all. So after taking solution in this pipette, Now I will fill this tip solution in this in this micro loader femto tip, we call it. So now I am filling here. You have to be very gentle and careful while filling the solution into the capillary. Okay, so I think I have filled it up. I'll quickly remove it. Okay. Now the solution is inside it. If you can see, there is a solution here. Now what I'll do, I'll put this solution filled tip which I'm going to inject in the cell in this capillary holder. So this thing is called capillary holder. So I will first fix this thing up with a capillary holder. So what I am doing, I am just attaching the capillary to the capillary holder. Okay, so I have attached it. Fine. Good. Now I have to put it back to this module. This thing is called motor module. I'll show you in a minute. You know, now I'm missing the light. See, this is what happens when you start some other work. Then there are different kind of requirements based on different kind of work. But I can still show you. So this is the motor module. I will put this capillary holder to the motor module. And with my experience, I know where and how to put it. So let me just do it very quickly. Yeah. So I'll put it somewhere here. I see there is some motor module is something, loosely adhered. So I have a screwdriver to fix it up. Every time when I use it, I have to use it in a fixed way, so that there shouldn't be even a small jerk, even a small drifting will destroy my cells. So I want everything to be very fixed. Now it is inside the cell, and you see now my capillary, the femto tip, which is going to go inside the cell, is connected to the capillary holder, and the capillary holder is connected through a wire that is coming out here. And you must be thinking, where does it go? So let me tell you, where does it go? So it goes out here. So this is called femtojet. This is the femtojet 4i. So right now it says that so this capillary is connected to, where is it connected? Is connected to the femtojet here. Okay, and since I was changing the capillary, I had put it on a mode that is called capillary changing mode. So it says that capillary may be changed now. Press menu to finish. So I'll press menu to finish. So it's saying it has three things. One thing is the injection pressure. At what pressure I want to inject my solution into the cell. Second thing here is called compensation pressure. Like when you inject your needle inside the cell, so cells has some solutions, and these solutions cannot come back to your needle. That's why you want a continuous positive pressure, to remain in the capillary, so that cytosolic solution does not come back and enter to your capillary. And second thing, which is not visible here somehow, because sometimes this instrument does not show me the time, but I have fixed it up, the 0.3 second. This is the time. So time of injection, for how long you want to inject your solution into the cells. So I put my injection pressure around 100 hectopascal, which is, so hectopascal is very less, and some compensation pressure I put generally an auspicious number 51 hectopascal, and time I put in 0.3 second, but since it's not visible here, I have already fixed it earlier 0.3 second, but I'll look at it again. Okay, so this is one thing. Now you will say that so this instrument, this femtojet, is only to exert pressure of two different kind. One pressure is injection pressure, another pressure is compensation pressure. Compensation pressure is always there in the capillary, so that cytosolic solution does not come back into your capillary. But injection pressure is applied when you want to inject your solution inside the cell. And the question is, how do we do this? So for that we have another thing that we call injectman. Can you see it? So this thing is called injectman. Okay, so this injectman is having some details that I'll not go into that. So this injectman has some joystick, okay, and this joystick actually controls this joysticks, okay. So this is because of light you cannot see properly, but still these joysticks control the motor module. You remember motor module? I told you that motor module is something that is connected to the capillary holder, which is here. Okay, so this is the motor module, and this motor module is connected to your capillary holder. And what happens that you can move your capillary holder and hence your capillary in X, Y and Z axis. You can okay, so let me first switch on the light. It's important. So I have some light for my own need. See, I got some light, right? Okay. Okay, so here you see this thing is motor module, and this motor module is required to move your cells in X, Y, Z axis. Okay, having said that, so one more thing I wanted to show you. I told you in the beginning that there are different objective that you can switch depending so there is a screen, and in the screen you have 4x, 10x, 20x, 40x. Whatever you touch, that objective will be changed. I'll show you with an example. So these are the cells, if you can see. So these are the cells, all these Henrietta Lacks cells surrounded here very nicely. If you want to see the aspect ratio, so this is one small point by a marker on the cover slip, and that one small point, it looks like this on an through 4x objective, and cells are even that I would say around 1000 or 10,000 times smaller than a point that you make from a marker. So this whole thing is a point, and these are the cells. So what if we increase the magnification? Let's say I have gone to 10x, then you see that cells are magnified on the screen. Okay, you must be seeing it. Now I am going to 20x. So on 20x, cells are, so on 20x, let me focus. So whenever we change the objective, there is some variation in focus that I generally have to fix. So fixing pressure again depends on two things, the gain and the exposure thing that I don't really want to talk about, so that I don't confuse you. Okay, so you see these cells. Okay, I think I have put more light. Okay, if I go to 40x, then you must be seeing that cells will enlarge even more. So you see here, so these are the enlarged cells. I am focusing it so that you can see things very clearly. Okay, so Can you see this? So these are the membrane of cells and extended. So I can see things here. There is a nice nucleus and you have cytoplasm, and these cells are adhered to the surface like a fried egg or like an omelette. Okay, more thickened in the middle and spread it throughout nicely. And what I'll do, I'll put my injection inside this cell to introduce my DNA or protein or whatever, CRISPR or some interesting things inside this cell. Okay, so okay, so I think I should be doing it. There is one more thing that I want to show you, and that one thing is how do I do it? Okay, that one thing is how do I do it? That's something I should not be showing you, because you will learn, and then I will no more be an expert. But that is on the lighter side. My purpose is, to give a flavor of real-time research that we do, so that people should understand that, So my friends, most of my friends, they do these kind of experiments, so they must be knowing all these things. But there are kids at home, and there are some school children, and they want to know that, how things work. So the important thing that I want to show you is how actually the injection happens inside the cell, and visually I want to show you. I don't know whether I am able to do it or not, because it's difficult to see things on the screen while doing the experiment. But I can do a commentary, and I can get a movie recorded, and I can put it at the end of this video, but I cannot guarantee it. It depends if I have time or not, and definitely trust me, I do not have time. Okay, so there's one thing, as I said, that I have inject man, and there is as I showed you, there is a joystick on the inject man, and using this hand I'm controlling the joystick, and using that joystick I can just move this motor module, which is connected to, see this capillary in X, Y and G direction. So one thing is important that I always follow, that the injection angle should be 45 degree, right? So right now I am at 40 degree, and I want to make it some 45 degree. Why? Because 45 degree is very much neutral thing. Like nobody can call you that you are, but that is on a lighter note. The main reason is it's recommended to inject things at 45 degree angle, because if you are injecting at let's say horizontally, then you are piercing the whole cells, and if you are doing it vertically, then also you are piercing. But if you are doing at a 45 degree angle, then you nicely just inject, and then inject essentially means you inject the needle, and then you inject the solution in the cell. This is how we inject any medicine, drugs into patient's body within some angle, and then we put and then we inject. So a lot of my friends are doctor, and there was a time when I was I never regretted for not becoming a doctor, but thought that I'm not a doctor, and my friends must be doing injection to patient's body. But you see, the thing is, right now I inject in cells instead of injecting in the whole body, and essentially does not make a difference, except the fact that when you inject into patient's body, you can talk to them, and when you are injecting into Hendrika Lacks cells, they cannot talk to you, and perhaps they can. It's just our inability that we cannot understand them. So let me then fix it, and that requires concentration, huge lot of concentration, and hence I'll go there, but I'll not end the video. I'll pause it so that if I have to show you something, I'll get back to you. Okay, the problem that I'm facing is this, that my needle is not reaching to to the cells properly. So I have to just do some changes in the motor module. So what I'm doing, I'm just using the screwdriver, I'm just changing the, what do you call it, y-axis, or changing the position of needle in y direction. So let me again, I have, so these are called troubleshooting. Like everything, you get a set of rule in your books or some paper, but always you have to use your logic. Always you have to use your logic to get what, get your experiments done. Because when you do the experiment, as I showed you in the very beginning, that you see some fancy nice result in your paper or in a book, but in reality there are a lot more than that is not been shown. I'm showing you. So the thing is, now I have just moved it up, and this is called, whenever you get a problem, you should immediately solve it out, like immediately. How can you solve things immediately? Just by knowing that things can be solved immediately. Great, now I can see my needle, okay, through the microscope. Can you trust me? Of course not. Why should I trust people in science? In science you require evidence. So you must be asking, give me evidence. See, right now the thing is, don't fight. It's just that you have to go with my words. I can give you a logical explanation that why should you trust me. The logical answer is, why should you not? Why would I lie to you? There's no reason that I would lie, that I can see a needle which is not there. So yeah, now the next thing is to look at the point end of needle, that whether end of needle is blocked or open. If it is blocked, then I have to change the needle, the capillary I'm talking about, and if it is not, then I have to go on introducing the protein inside the cell. So in order to check, I have to do certain things that I'm not going to tell you, and I'll get back to you. So just for the sake of evidence, can you see this capillary just beside this dot? Okay, so there's a capillary out here. Now my capillary is near the cells. I just need to figure out whether the end of the capillary is open or blocked. Okay, so to check whether the end is blocked or not, what did I do? I just focused at the point of my capillary. Why to focus at the point of capillary? You focus at a point where you want to see things clearly. So I focused at the point, and then I pressed clean. So there is an option of clean out here, and if you press that clean, then solution should come out of your capillary, because when we push this clean thing, then there is a pressure of 6000 HPA, hectopascal, is applied, and that takes your solution out of the capillary. If it is coming out, then your capillary is fine. You can go on to introduce inside the cell. If it is not, then you should not. Now the thing is, important thing here is, when I inject my solution inside the cell, then as I showed you, then the injection pressure is around 100 HPA or 120 HPA, but that gives you a very small solution coming out of your capillary in femtoliter or maybe some 0.5, 0.1 picoliter, and that small solution cannot be seen. That's why we have to apply a high pressure of 6000 HPA to see whether things are coming out of your solution or not. So if I can show you here, okay, and if I press clean, then there are things which is coming out of it. Okay, it means things are fine, but you know, one thing I'm just observing, that since today I'm using some other sticky proteins, which is some IDP is proteins which has no structure, for a purpose. It has been evolutionarily selected to do some purpose, do some function, and that's why we cannot, everything that exists in nature, we cannot ignore that thing. If something exists, if something happens, there has to have some purpose of it, except fool's mind. They do not have a purpose. They just, fools are fools. But nature is not fool. Nature does everything for a purpose. And the question is, then the nature selected fools on this planet. Well, many times fools are by their education. If they have studied something wrong, then they just follow that things blindly, and then they become like that. But sometimes, I would say that evolution is an ongoing process, and in the course of succession, unless this community will become fool and destroy themselves, there will be no more succession. So in order for succession to happen, fools will help the society to become something else. But that is again debatable. So I have to again introduce things inside the cell. One more thing I want to show you, that how protein goes inside the cell. Okay, so my experiment is set. My solution is going in the protein in the cell, and so I'm happy. I'm always happy. But yeah, the question is, as we discussed in the last video that I made about Henrietta Lacks. So right now I'm working with her cells, and while looking at her cell, I keep on thinking about the definition of life. Like, if your cells are alive, then can we call it life, and if it is dead, then should we call it dead? So to just initiate this argument, let me put it in a way and start with an experiment. So recently, not recently, few years back, there was an experiment with single slit. People call it single slit experiment. You must be aware of see how beautifully things are happening. Okay, so you must be aware of this double slit experiment, in which when light is fallen on a cardboard with two slit on it, then what happens that your you see a very nice interference pattern on the screen other side of it, defining there is the light is a wave, which is essentially interference is essentially wave property of light. And because of this wave property of light, when light diffracted from the small slit, there is a pattern of it, and that those get interfere with each other, and again depending on the phase and phase difference of light, and then they give some interference pattern. So people have tried it with single slit as well, and they also give the interference pattern through single slit as well. So instead of light, what do they do? They changed it. They started throwing some electron and some atom. So when they throw atom or electron, then also they showed the same interference pattern happening on the screen at the other side. So people were confused that if an atom is behaving like a wave, and at that time this dual nature of particle or wave nature, same thing can happen with anything. So any matter can exist as a wave and particle at the same time simultaneously. So but the question was, people thought to look at it closely, that where an atom, which is an atom for sure, right? If I see an atom, of course you cannot see it, but definitely we know the structure of atom. So atom is generally considered as particle. It behaves as a particle. So when you do experiment in which with let's say protein or DNA, you essentially have atom, and you consider atom as a particle. But it was giving some interference like a property, which essentially is the wave property of matter. So people thought to look at it closely, that to how and when an atom starts behaving like a wave. So what did they do? They just put a detector in front of your cardboard, the slit, and there was, so the name of the detector was which way detector. So they put the detector just in front of the cardboard, the slit, and they switch the detector on. The moment they switch the detector on to observe the atom, the interference patterns disappeared, and particle started behaving like a particle, the way it should. If you throw a ball through a slit, it should go and make patches at different point. But if it is a wave, it will diffract, and diffraction will again give you the multiple interference pattern. So that is one thing. Then what do? They were surprised that why just putting a detector made an atom behave like an atom, a particle, but the moment they switch off the detector, again atom starts behaving like a wave, giving some interference pattern. So and then there are different interpretation of it. The basic problem is called quantum mechanical problem of measurement, or quantum mechanical problem of observation. Right? So there is a Copenhagen interpretation of it that says that it is our observation, it is our measurement, and the measurement happens at various points. The moment you put your detector and observe in your computer screen, or moment you see something and interpret in your mind itself, and do not know at which level, but looking at things and going into your mind, making some sense of it, and then analyzing it, and then looking things in a way. It takes a series of things, and all those events we can call measurement or observation. So it is the problem of that measurement or observation. I shouldn't say it is a problem, but it is because of our observation that an atom or electron starts behaving like a particle when we observe them. But when we don't observe them, then they don't exist. So I was thinking that do this world, do the universe exist because of our observation? When we do not observe them, they do not exist. So it is our something that is our observation, our measurement. That do they? The question. This is the question. I'm not inferring things, but the question is: do they make things look like the way it is? Is it our observation? Let's say when we are in a deep sleep, then we are really unaware of the phenomena that is happening around. Okay, and somehow, let's say if we are in a dream state, then we are literally in a state where we are looking at things which is untrue as per our wakefulness world. But things happen there as well. If you are chased by a ghost, then you will feel the enormous fear, and that fear is real. If you are experiencing something bad in your life, in the dream I'm talking about, then you will feel the pain, you will feel the sorrow. In wakefulness world, you can say that sorrow or anger is some because of false reason. Indeed, it is because of false reason. Dream state is not very real. But the question is wakefulness states, is it real? One can say yes. When we open the eyes and we look at things, then it's real. Then again, if it is real, then then again the problem of quantum mechanical problem of observation, that when we observe things, then it becomes matter. When we don't, then it behaves like a wave. So the question is, and talking about the dream state, that justify that you can feel an emotion of anger or emotion of fear or emotion of sadness, anything, without a proper reason. So this happens even in the wakefulness world. Like you can be happy or sad at the same moment in the same situation, but just shifting your perspective. So in one perspective you will be very happy in the same scenario, in another perspective you will be sad. So, and that is also important, because emotions, the limbic system of brain is developed to do certain kind of function, like anger or fear. It releases a lot of stressful fear and flight hormones, which prepares you to do the action which is needed. Like if you see a snake just in front of your feet, you will have an enormous sense of fear, and because of fear you will forget everything that is happening in your life. Your all energy or we call sense will concentrate on one point, that there is a snake, and you will not even think about it. So emotional responses are faster than the thought responses. They say that, and that's why this emotion evolved in us and many other organisms. Because if you see a snake and then you process that thing, then you think about it, it takes some microsecond, millisecond time scale. That is your reaction time. So that is a very slow process to escape from an enemy, like a snake or maybe a tiger. So that's why emotions have evolved to do things quicker than thought driven actions. And it's needed. In the same way, fear is anger is also needed. If you see that somebody is doing wrong to you and he's going to kill you or something, you will become very angry, and you have to fight with them. And at that time, let's say if you have pain in your left leg, you will not feel that pain when you are angry, because anger or fear, it prepares you to do certain things. But the question is, these emotions were very much needed in the ancient time, when we were living in a forest, were surrounded by different enemy, and then it was a need, these emotions. But in today's time, we live in a very fancy protected environment, surrounded by walls. Nobody is harming you, hopefully, and if they do, then they don't literally come and beat you up, at least. There are some places where people do that, but where these things don't happen, where you do not need this kind of emotion unless it is required, then what happens, these emotions play some nasty game, and sometimes sometimes you get these emotions even without a valid reason. And when you get these emotions without a valid reason, it takes a form of disease. Okay. And yeah, certain things happen, like if you are getting angry unnecessarily, then that is not good for our system as well. But I was talking about something else, and it's my habit that I go towards something else. And since I own this YouTube channel, and I make these videos for my own people, I think that they understand what I am trying to say. But some of my friends, non-scientific friends, they suggested that make small videos of 5 minutes and talk, prepare it. I do not have time for that. I just make it so that I do not feel bored. And second reason, some of my friends and juniors, they want me to talk to them, because I have been talking to them for years, and nowadays all the time I'm doing these experiments alone, so I get bored sometimes. Having said that, but I started this argument of living or non-living. Should we call Henrietta Lack's cells living? So then I explained you the experiment in which it's our observation that makes a particle behave like a particle. Otherwise, it is behaving like a wave without putting the which way detector. Then the question remains here is this, that things that we see is because of something else, because of our observation. And then the question comes, is the observation happening because of neurons, or neurons itself exist because of our observation? Because so I'm talking about some deep observation terms. If we talk about cells, then cells are definitely a wonderful collection of different things. Majority water, cells are 70% water, some 12-15% protein molecules, some 1-3% carbohydrates, some lipid, some fat, something phospholipid, and all these membranes. So these different macromolecules organize themselves into some supramolecular assemblies, like some protein and some RNA associate with each other and form nucleolus, or they form ribosome, and then some other protein, other lipid, phospholipid, and other some carbohydrate, they mix with each other and form some other organelle, like Golgi body, or maybe some plasma membrane, or some mitochondria, and then they do certain kind of function. In the same way, this instrument do a function, like every part of it is important. Let's say this thing is important for this instrument, and if we put this and this together, this and this together, this and this together, then it is working like a microscope, and it gives you some machine-like property. Okay, and if you connect this microscope with femtojet and the inject man and the motor module and the capillary and the capillary holder, then it starts behaving like a whole microinjection setup, and that gives you some function. So this machine gives you some function. In the same way, cells, according to me and according to many other people as well, I hope, the cells are a bigger assembly of different protein, carbohydrate, lipid, water, and these things, and they do certain functions, certain work, which is needful. If you want to talk about work, then we can go on talking about work of cell whole day. But you understand what I essentially mean, that every cells have to do certain kind of work. When I say work, you have to displace something against the already existing pulling force. So the thing is, and the constituents of these cells, if you talk about protein, carbohydrate, lipid, water, these all things people call non-living. Then what makes an assembly living? Why should we call a cell living organelle, living system, or this system a living system? So I would go with this, that cells are, with this point I would say, if I have privilege to say that cells are just big machinery, then again, if it is a machinery, and let's say if somebody has preserved my cells, like these cells were preserved by Henrietta Lacks, and these cells still exist because of some mutations that happened in these cells that keep these cells in a division state, cell division state for eternity. So will that make Henrietta Lacks living, or to define life, is there something else that runs in our body and not in this microscope? And hence should we call this microscope a non-living thing, and I should be called as a living thing. And that again brings an argument of consciousness, that we have some consciousness. This instrument does not have a consciousness, but well, that's true. That's people talk about lots of things, like living things grow. So what? Like if you keep a stone and some dust accumulate on it, stone will also grow. People talk about reproduction. A mule cannot reproduce, or maybe an infertile human couple cannot reproduce. So are they not living? They are living, of course. So that also argument goes. And then people talk about so these things, like all physiology, metabolic reactions happen inside the body. Same metabolic reactions I perform in the test tube. So what? So should we call it a metabolic reaction performed in test tube? You can perform a respiration reaction in test tube. You can perform a photosynthesis reaction in the test tube. Should we call it a living reaction? You would not like to call it a living reaction. So that indeed is not a good example of a living system. Then the next part comes up is this that is this that some consciousness. Well, it's true that we are more conscious. Conscious means we respond things freely as per our own will, maybe I would say. Then again, the things come up here that is this consciousness a result of interacting neurons, or the neurons or any matter itself exists because of the consciousness. So consciousness is associated with observation. So if we if we see things the way it is because of our consciousness, because that is associated with the observation. If we do not have consciousness, then the world does not exist. Everything is then matter or wave. So when Henrietta Lacks died, then perhaps these cells, these machineries, these accumulations, these atoms, perhaps came out of her consciousness, and hence I should be saying that she exists as a cells, but she does not exist in a conscious way. But still there is a question that where does this consciousness exist? Where does the consciousness exist? There is a possibility that consciousness exists inside the cell. And if cells are alive, then consciousness is also available here. But I really have not understood the consciousness very fully. Nobody have understood it. So I'll make a separate discussion on the science of consciousness. But still, it doesn't matter whether Henrietta Lacks is alive or not. But I'm still thankful to her for giving me this beautiful asset to study different kind of natural phenomena, and for making possible a lot of science application that made humanity to survive on this planet. So all these vaccines like polio vaccines and other influenza vaccines and all these vaccines, in fact COVID vaccines, they all have been synthesized using Henrietta Lacks cells. So we are always fond of her. We are always thankful to her. The only reason I do not really feel comfortable talking herself alive is because I always live with her all the time alone, and I'm scared if she exists in these cells, should we call it a ghost? Thank you.